One of the things that we love talking about on the show is just how big YouTube has become. I mean, Benji, all the way back at the beginning when you got your start on YouTube, there's no way that you could have seen what YouTube had become, right?
No, I mean, I used to laugh at my wife uploading videos. And even before that, it was just a website that kids inside of my program in the computer room would just go to watch breakdancing videos of kids breakdancing on the East Coast, you know? And I didn't even use it that much. So in 2005, 6, 7, and 8, when my wife started, I just thought it was another website that was just going to be around and just kind of like disappear and there'd be something else.
Well, there was news in the last week where there is a research firm named Moffett Nathansson. They're big in the industry. They focus a lot on media and tech. And the headline takeaway is that YouTube becomes the world's largest media company, period. Passing Disney, passing everybody else. So let me quote from Alex Weprin at The Hollywood Reporter, who says, YouTube had more than $60 billion in revenue in 2025, parent company Alphabet reported last month. Now the influential financial research firm Moffett Nathansson runs the numbers and comes to the conclusion that YouTube estimated $62 billion in 2025 will have allowed it to pass the Walt Disney Co.'s media business, which generated $60.9 billion in the last year, which includes their experiences division, parks, things like that. The firm, which declared YouTube the new king of all media last year, is now valued between $500 billion and $560 billion, far above any traditional media competitors. The closest would be Netflix, which has a market cap of about $409 billion as of writing.
What about Disney?
I'll look that up afterwards. Moffett Nathansson argues that the scale as a distributor, both of pay TV and of creator-led content, will help it continue its explosive growth. So will its heavy investment in AI tools, which allow creators to produce more content at a faster cadence. Quote, over the next few years, unlike almost any other asset we cover, we strongly believe that YouTube will be a major beneficiary of both the structural tailwinds and headwinds facing technology and media companies, quote. End quote. Michael Nathansson writes, indeed, there may not be another company that sits so squarely at the intersection of media and technology. Now, one of the inspirations for this podcast in general is that we think it's the best time ever to get started on YouTube. This is the exact reason why, because YouTube is still growing and they are king of the hill when it comes to all media. Benji, I'm curious about what your reaction is to the news that they are passing a company like Disney, and I'll get you those numbers here in just a second.
That's crazy. I did a quick search. It says 175 billion for Disney. You said that YouTube is 450 billion?
It is 560 billion.
I'm actually shocked, but there's two things. YouTube is gigantic. I mean, right? It's probably the most profitable thing, or one of the most profitable things for Google, for good reason, because it's so heavily used. It's got short form, it's got regular videos, it's got podcasts, it got live streams. You know, I'm seeing people that have live shows that have 150,000 concurrent viewers on, and it's just nuts. Okay, but the second part of it is this is maybe not as well known, or it's obvious. It's a huge part credited to the creators on YouTube.
Totally.
Which are not employees. I don't even know if you call them contractors, right? YouTube just hosts a platform, and they're getting a lot of the credit for what the creators are doing. Now, you know, like some people say it could be like the ultimate scam, or right? But people sign up to do it, right? So you get the platform, they get the content. The traffic is free. For them, you are free.
Yeah, the content is free.
Yeah, and
but
if
you share in the profits.
You share in the profits. So like it's like the ultimate balance. Versus like Netflix is that privately owned, or is that like publicly traded?
Oh, that's a good question.
I don't know.
I think they are publicly
traded. But they're
now.
still like your typical corporation, right? Like the people that work at Netflix. I guess in a way, all the studios and stuff that utilize it. But I just can't believe that that's the case.
Yeah.
And we've done, like, I guess, research and studies about how YouTube is number one compared to broadcast television, you know, cable TV, it's bigger than all these other studios. And we just looked up, I don't know if that was accurate, 175 for Disney.
That's what I see too. Yeah.
Right? Crazy. It's a crazy,
It is crazy.
right? And when you think about YouTube, I don't think people in this day would ever put YouTube and Disney next to each other and be like, oh yeah, YouTube's so much bigger. They might know that more people use YouTube and watch YouTube, but when you think about like a studio, you think Disney,
Yeah.
you think Netflix, you think Paramount, even a Hulu or HBO. You don't think YouTube, because remember, YouTube is just a bunch of YouTubers,
Yeah.
right? People with these small channels. There's only so many Mr. Beasts out there. And it's funny, even Mr. Beast, for as successful as his videos are, it's hard to compare that against like Avengers.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing that I'm sensing is that, you know, with the old media, when you think of like where the money is, you probably are thinking of traditional Hollywood most of the time. Now, you probably know that YouTube is making a lot of money, right? And you maybe even know that YouTube is competitive with somebody like Disney, right? But if you look at like a market cap perspective, I mean, you're talking about $500 billion for YouTube versus, you know, $175 billion for Disney. So that's like 3x the amount for Disney. It's kind of absurd. And actually, if you listen to, I fortunately on the right here was listening to, I think it was Nathansson on a podcast. I just serendipitously popped up in my feed, and he was talking about this report that they put together, and he was saying like, look, we're looking at Netflix and we're looking at YouTube, and they're like monetizing, and in terms of like the amount that they've monetized their products at like half the rates of someone like a Disney would. And so you think about the way that, and it would track here with their valuations, right? You look at the way that they're kind of approaching these things, and geez, I mean, YouTube has a lot of runway to go. They still have, you know, they're basically saying they could double the amount that they're monetizing. That doesn't even account for things like user growth, subscription growth, et cetera. Netflix is sort of similar. And so, I mean, again, we look at YouTube and Netflix, they come along. And to me, the thing that's exciting about that is that means that, well, for those who've ever wanted to be in Hollywood, well, maybe a good place to start is YouTube, honestly, right? For those who didn't want to be in Hollywood but want to have reach somewhere, well, geez, of course YouTube is a good place to start. And really the exciting thing to me is that this means that YouTube is growing, right? They're not only at the top of the hill, at the top of their game, but that means that YouTube is growing and the opportunity on YouTube is growing. And so everybody who feels like it's too late to have started a YouTube channel is, I would just argue, apologies to you if you believe that, you're dead wrong about that. Now is a best time ever to get started on YouTube. And we've been saying that forever at Vlogging Academy. Now, I'm curious about what your perspective is on that, about getting started on YouTube.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, even though YouTube is much bigger, the wealth is spread out among not just the employees at YouTube, but also all the creators.
Totally.
So it makes it more realistic to get into this industry, right? The media business, movie business, just like obviously the creator economy through YouTube versus going the Disney route. Like, right, what is like the famous thing? Like, once you become a Disney kid, you're like a Disney kid forever.
Yeah.
And then like but you get to become a huge superstar.
Yeah.
I think Miley Cyrus, right? When you grew up with Miley Cyrus, was she like a Disney kid?
Hannah Montana.
Hannah Montana was a
Yeah.
Disney show.
Yeah.
And look how big Miley Cyrus is. But less of those type of people. Okay. Now, going back to your question in terms of like
Getting started.
100%, and I'm biased because of this, and going back to Miley Cyrus, way less competitive actually on YouTube than on Disney. Okay, the threshold is way higher, and I'm not saying that in an offensive way. I'm saying that if you got a laptop and you can film yourself and you can upload, you can start a YouTube channel, and that could get you 1 million subscribers in a year. You need way more than that to get started at Disney or really any of these other platforms, right? You can't just go on and dream. You literally have to make huge sacrifices. You probably have to move. You have to go to like acting school. You have to be, go do all the auditions. You have to live in the lifestyle, network, maybe have a manager. You can be a one-man or one-woman band on YouTube and make it. And so that's always been the case from YouTube. Who would have ever thought that would lead to YouTube being the bigger media company?
It's amazing to me. And, you mentioned the idea of like the credit going to the creators. Here's the thing that they mentioned in that same article where they say YouTube has now paid out more than $100 billion to creators, music companies, and media partners, reflecting its starring role in the entertainment ecosystem. Quote, there are really two fundamental things that we do for creators, YouTube CEO Neil Mohan told The Hollywood Reporter last year, just a few hours after announcing that milestone. One is help them build an audience and reconnect with their fans, regardless of where those fans are in the world. And the second thing we do is we help them build businesses. That's what the $100 billion represents for me. You know, one of the things that I've heard a lot lately is, you know, that there's a perception about YouTube in particular that maybe it's kind of past its prime. I totally disagree with that, right? I mean, even if you're somebody who's thinking about where you should get started on a short form platform versus YouTube, you know, obviously, as you've mentioned in the past, you should go with the one that you enjoy, the one that you think that you like the most, the one that you feel like you could reach most accessibly. But I think there's a pretty strong argument to be made that maybe YouTube is the best place to get started, right? And so when I look at this and I see how YouTube still has all this room to grow, I say, well, look, they're the ones who figured out the creator economy. They're like the oldest creator economy, I think, that you could argue in the world. They continue to split that revenue with creators to this very day, and that same revenue split. And they still have room to grow. Well, to me, there's not really another platform. Obviously, there's not old Hollywood that can match that. But there's not really any other platform that can match that either, right? Is there any other place that you can think of that would have that kind of argument that YouTube has?
In terms of being a platform for creators to upload content and also the monetization aspect.
Yeah, the monetization.
Yeah, no one even. I just talked to someone this morning that recently got their Facebook profile back after 6 months of not having it.
Wow.
And they said one of their biggest observations of their Facebook and Instagram is that the payout is less.
Interesting.
And that is a common thing in Meta, that there's these seasons. It could be like 2 months. It could be maybe 2 years. The pay is amazing. And then out of nowhere, it's like they just shut it off. It's like a lever. YouTube has just been steady the whole time. Spikes in income are usually attributed to the algorithm changing and the algorithm getting better, in my opinion. You know, so in 2013, they changed the algorithm. Clickbait strategies didn't work. You know, this is the era where people are using like maybe some provocative thumbnails. My wife wasn't doing that, but she was using music video thumbnails to drive a lot of traffic.
Yeah.
Most of the people were there for something else, but enough people stayed for the content she's creating because it was still related to that thumbnail image. And so they changed the algorithm, so that didn't work. So the click-through rate became a thing. Okay, before it wasn't a thing, and so you could almost trick people. But the income has always been steady. It's like it's more predictable, and also it doesn't just completely fall off the map and disappear like Meta, like TikTok, like these other platforms. So 100%, there's nothing that even comes close to it.
Yeah, and to me, that's why it's still exciting to me, is because they have both of those sides there. You know, one of the things that we talk about a lot is that I think creators can fall backwards into entrepreneurship. And if you're not the type of person who wants to be an entrepreneur, AdSense is a pretty good place to start, honestly, right? Like it's directly tied to your creativity and to the reach and success you have on YouTube. Now, for a lot of people, it's not 100% of what they need in order to go full time, but it could be, you know, you could get to that level potentially. And at the very least, it's a way to make a little bit of side money, as we've seen it with some of our students at Vlogging Academy, to get you started.